All right, we are back. This would be game 6 of Paris's Rabble Round Robin Tournament 2022 edition. It is Capture the Flag on Caer Cadarn. Here we go. So, we have a classic 5-on-5 match. It seems Shad and maybe one other person, I think Wings maybe, retired for the afternoon. So we have Paris, Walter Wight, Jahral Toad, Overdose, and Kryptos against HMP, Killer King, Father Xmas, Vinarian, and Lord Scary Owl. It'll be interesting to see how these players, bounce back. Paris has had sort of a disappointing afternoon. I think he has really only won one or two games this afternoon. Meanwhile, your favorite myth player, HMP, I think is only lost one game, which might have been the last game, right? So
I think so.
we'll see what happens. Yeah, one thing I would like to notice or to note is that Paris's team seems to have gone all in on Warriors, or close to all in on Warriors, whereas HMP's team has about double the amount of Thrall that Paris has, and maybe half the amount of Warriors. Oh, sorry, he didn't trade yet. But yeah, what I was getting a bit ahead of myself.
How did you figure that?
Yeah. Anyway,
You
so
are a demon.
HMP about double the amount of Thrall that Paris has, and probably um, you know 5 or 6 more goals than Paris. What's your impression on doubling up on Thrall and having more goals versus having just almost maximum warriors?
In general, I really like to see like a heavier defense. It's something that you can kind of move around and anticipate better, particularly on this such a large map. This will be a very interesting setup. I can't tell. I think it all comes down to scouts. Can they scout it out? Can they know who has what, when, and where, and why? I think that, and who can get to the flag the fastest.
All right. Well,
I I
Game
I
on.
think it's going to be a pretty hard match.
that is on the record a difficult match. But yeah, I mean, I think that there it's a pretty even trade off. I don't think one team from a unit trading perspective has an advantage over the other. I think there's an argument to be made with having a massive thrall. Again, we've seen LSO employ the thrall army tactic to great effect when he's the captain. And obviously, I am a goal fan, so the more of those guys around, I tend to like that. But also, the Warriors, they are very key units, and Paris, his warrior skills, even though they are melee units, seem to outshadow pretty much everyone else. Like that, the Warriors are really, it appears to be Paris's unit, even though his logo is a trow and that kind of thing. I just feel that he knows what to do with those guys, which may be why he maxed them out. Anyway, let me just quickly explain what's going on. Let me pause really quick. We see Jahral Toad with a warrior pack going west. We see Paris with a bigger warrior pack and a few goals going north. There's just a huge mass of archers, relatively unprotected, I guess protected by a handful of you, Walter Wight, your thrall. But we've got about, 15 or so archers going middle, versus, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 archers going mid with a handful of warriors and a huge army of thrall. Are there any impressions that you have so far?
In general, yeah, no, this was this is a decent setup. I think Paris has has a clear lead as of this point.
Alrighty. Are you a bit concerned about the support for the archers that are relatively naked going into the mid? You know, there's some pus support. You know, you've got a handful of thrall, but that's about it.
Uh, I think in most games, no. In this game, yeah, no, yes. I think that in this game, having no warriors in the middle will be a major detriment.
Okay, well, now what we're seeing in the middle is just a sort of full-on rush. I think it's pretty obvious that HMP's team has the advantage in terms of unit presence. So I think this is the correct move on their part. And you know, conversely, I think it's the right move on Paris's part or Paris's team's part to
At
fall back.
converse, I think that that's exactly the right move.
Yeah, even though we see this idiot right here with the four archers still trying to kill some people, and he's going to consequently get slaughtered. But I think he gets the
But
message
that was
later on.
actually not a bad move. That was actually a really positive move that really helped delay, particularly as you see the north flank
Yeah,
up, potentially helping things move along. So all of this action that's happening down here, down south, seems to be against the grain, or like, or things that like your players are going to die. Yeah, but ultimately you're gonna win. So long as that one push, if you see that blue wave, so long as that blue wave up north wins the day, all that matters is that gray onslaught that is happening in and I'm talking about um, the overhead. If your team over can overwhelm and can even hold it off for like 1 extra second, it wins. And this is what some reg myths come down to. It's just, can you hold the line? Can you Are you willing to put forces in? And so you see that person putting like fire into the slowing of the force, like every single microsecond is helping that force up north get towards the flag. And so now it's already almost contested.
yeah. So you're really just trying to sell your own efforts. It sounds like.
I'm My own efforts, the team's own efforts for sure. That's
5 minutes remaining. Flag
as a
contested.
captain helper, you just all you have to do, your whole goal of this point as a team is to hold the line. So you see those thrall, all they have to do is block those archers from getting to the flag, and all those archers have to do is contest, and none of them are really trying. Hilarious. The
Yeah.
Killer King actually did a shit job of trying to contest.
Well, we see this is
So by
pretty
the end
much
of it,
mopped up, and
it's
then
not about being mopped up either. So it's end of day. That was that is how you play the
Contested.
fucking game.
I mean, I don't know what you're getting
Flag
super passionate
lost.
about. I mean, it's just kind of a normal game in my opinion, but it's good to hear that fire come out.
Team eliminated.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I get what you say when you know, you're talking about stalling the opponents, slowing them down. It would have been interesting if Paris got a couple more dwarfs or put both dwarves, sent them both mid, because that really would have helped with that thrall wall. I think we were doing okay versus their bowmen, but yeah, I mean, if
Well, and it is interesting because HMP is like he's not a good cat necessarily,
but
but he's
I thought
like
you
the
just called him the
best
greatest of
player
all time.
of players.
So there's a difference between being a player and being a captain.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone that has ever won a championship, it doesn't even fucking matter. It's just like just face someone one on one, and then you can start parsing the details. But from a database standpoint, you should love this. Basically, it all starts from a player facing a player one on one, definitively from each of their standpoint. They both agree and they both like do it, and then from there on, you try to judge it.
I'm not sure I'm following you there. I think maybe you cut out or something, but yeah, I mean,
We can talk about it for the future for sure. But yeah, no,
well,
HMP
I'm not
is the
trying to
best
stir the
player of
pot
all
or anything.
time. GKG is probably so GKG and LSO are up there for the best caps of all time. LSO is up there for player and cap. GKG not best player for sure. That would be the interesting turnaround. And it would all come down to like how you parse details of 16 versus 16, or 5 versus 5, or 2 versus 2, or 1 versus 1. So cap also I'm interested in figuring out how we can make those things regular.
All right, man. If you broker the match, I'll set up the odds. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's just quickly run through the damages. Paris, of course, with the most damage, not just for his team but for the
What
entire game. Great kill to loss ratio. What can you say? He's just an upstanding guy. Kryptos, I think he found some redemption from that horrible game, that horrible Barbarian Valley game. Putting up some okay damage with, definitely that dwarf came into play, blowing up some archers. I believe Killer King's archers in the late game, and possibly saving it for Team Paris. Walter Wight again, some laying down some good sorry, not fire nades. This isn't World War II. Fire arrows rather, slowing down that thrall onslaught. Overdose. I mean, he was just kind of there, I guess. Jahral Toad, he was kind of there as well. HMP, the damage is really sort of dispersed evenly amongst their team, which is what you would expect since they more or less did sort of a slow crawl rush kind of deal, but they just weren't able to contest the flag in the end. So
It would be fun just for you, real quick, to uh, look at these numbers and just say, based on the teams, who would have you thought would have won?
I would have thought HMP's team would have won.
So that's a really nice, thing for us. You know, it's it's so different in the myth community to see such a difference in who you think.
Well, are you implying that you thought Paris's team was going to win?
I actually think that I'm implying that Ferris's team would have lost.
Okay, so
I,
then you
I
agreed with me.
generally think that Ferris's team would have lost.
Okay, well then, maybe we just got lucky. Who knows? But I would also like to point out that the lead killer for Team HMP was Vinarian. Nobody really knows who he is, but he's definitely putting in work, and we're definitely glad that he is playing with us, or he played with us last Saturday. So shout out to Vinarian, whoever you are. Thanks for playing, and good showing in this game, even though you guys came up a bit short. Is there any closing remarks you'd like to give, Walter?
Other than I love Vinarian, no,
Oh.
I'm good.
All right, Vinarian, two official super fans for you. Anyway, let's close this out and move on
Game
to what
over.
I believe is the last video.
Are you recording right now?